in their minds the most effective and least intrusive manner if we can't facilitate some sort of instructional assistance and rally the neighbors to help in that regard to minimize the amount of spraying. And I think they would, based upon my experience with the Keystone neighborhood, they would probably welcome this and would come out to help us, because I think they fully recognize that we are shorthanded and it's difficult to, hand pulling takes a lot of personnel labor.
And we have in the past supported the neighborhood in trash pickups and providing, trucks for them to load up, say over a weekend, and then hauling it off. So I mean, we certainly are supportive of facilitating that type of work.
And they've been great, and I have no doubt they would be again. Just maybe some instructional. When's the best time to do hand pulling? Here's the best mechanism. Here's the safest way. So that would just be a suggestion in this particular area where that might be helpful.
Councilman.
Jeez, how long is this going on?
Sam.
Open meeting law. Right.
This is very important. Councilman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I just wanted to agree with my colleagues and a lot of their comments that have been made, and certainly Councilwoman Doerr for her comments and advocacy on this. I also don't want to lose track of the one item in the course of your review, John, that Ms. Hill brought up, and that is the actual appropriateness of the time of the use of this. If herbicides are used, if there is the possibility that the window was missed, so why do it? But I also just want to give a general comment, and I've had some conversations with Corey specifically about this. Just commending the fact that, through local media, and this is Reno coverage and what happened on KUNR, it was very heartening to see the Public Works response saying, okay, yes, we need to take a look at this. We'll take this under advisement. And so I just want to commend Public Works for working through this, not getting it right. But I agree, the review of the policy and bringing this back, looking at noticing, looking at ways to better involve the local neighborhoods in this is going to be good. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Breckus.
I'll just decline at this point and look forward to discussion of this at a further date.
All right, thank you so much. All right, Madam Secretary.
Madam Mayor, our next public comment is from Corey Frey, followed by Jana Vanderhaar.
Hi, for the record, my name is Corey Fry. Thank you for hearing me today. I'm just going to speak from the point of view of a resident, a nurse, a mother. On May 26th, I walked into my backyard, which I sit directly on top of the West Wash Dam. The City of Reno truck that you can maybe see on my video was outdoors spraying. As you can see, the chemicals are drifting through the air there. I was subsequently misted in the face with this chemical he was spraying, and almost immediately developed staining in my eyes, 2 days of decreased tear production, onset of a headache and dizziness within about 2 minutes, throat burning, coughing, sinus drainage, and nausea later in the day. I asked the gentleman on the truck what exactly they were spraying, and he told me it was 2,4-D. So being a nurse, I do my research. I found that in 2015, the Agency for Research on Cancer declared this a possible carcinogen based on evidence that it damaged human cells and caused cancer in lab animals. Also, this chemical was used as part of Agent Orange in the Vietnam War. It's also a class of compounds called endocrine disruptors, which if you don't know what an endocrine disruptor is, it has everything to do with your thyroid hormone and what your thyroid gland produces. Despite the research, I know this chemical can be bought at Home Depot. I know I can spray it in my yard if I choose to do so. As you can see, the City of Reno is spraying it in hundreds of gallons on these walking trails. There was no public notice, as Lisa said, as well as my children walk to school down to Clayton Middle School that way. The kids walk home that way. They were spraying at the time the kids were walking to school. I did speak with Public Works about it. That's taken from my backyard, that photograph, when I got misted. Eric Strunge and Ryan Bird, I want a huge thank you to. They have agreed not to spray on the earth dam anymore. They've agreed to hand pull, which is huge. Although we still have the area up above, and I'd like it made into a permanent public policy that they not spray. And I personally will organize people to hand pull weeds and remove that. There's a creek that lies below this area just on the south side of the dam where there's frogs, coyotes, owls, butterflies, and this creek runs into the irrigation canal that feeds Rancho San Rafael Park, as well as, I believe, the new pesticide-free lake park. Anyway, my hope and prayer is that the pesticide or the herbicide use stops in that area due to all the foot traffic. And thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, our next public comment is from Jana Vandahar, followed by Lauren Rinda.
Good morning. My name is Jana Vandahar, and I'm here also to talk about the herbicide use in the city. As you know, I'm passionate about organic gardening and farming practices. I'm a local landscape architect, and I design a lot of habitat gardens and edible landscapes for people, and I manage the organic garden at the Food Co-op, if you've seen it out there. And I wanted to comment on some of the herbicide use because my background is working for the city of Ann Arbor in Michigan, and we did natural area preservation work out there. And already, this is 20 years ago, already then they didn't use herbicides in parks and in school grounds because they realized it's, not healthy for our bodies and for the wildlife. And so I want to just kind of go over some of the things that we did there that might be helpful for you to do here in terms of not using broad spectrum spraying of herbicides and pesticides. There was a comment on how we have to deal with these weeds for fire abatement, and you have to understand these chemicals, the way they use is they kill the plant, but then you have still all the plant matter. So it's not going to really be a big fire retardant practice. It's much better to mow it and have it low to the ground and be a mulch, and therefore not create this ladder of fuel to spread the fire. So mowing it is a much better practice, and we did a lot of that. Also, if there were invasive weeds, we would have a public notice. We have signs out 3 days before we would go out there, and they don't have cheatgrass in Michigan, but we had purple loosestrife, we had buckthorn, we had all kinds of other herbs. And depending on the herb, there's different approaches to deal with them. And so in terms of cheatgrass, another thing is when you just do a broad spectrum herbicide, you're going to kill all the broad-leafed plants there, even the good ones. And what you'll end up with is just the same old happening next year because you've gotten rid of all the plants, all the good ones and the bad ones. So what we did is we did very targeted spraying of only the areas of the plants that we needed, and actually it was more of a sponge method where we would sponge the individual plants. And yeah, it's more labor intensive, but we're not exposing the river, we're not exposing the people, the pets. It doesn't stay around in massive areas, and it gives a chance for the good plants to reestablish, because that's what I see missing here is we spray these weeds. You saw it on the video. And then what? We're not doing any restoration. We're not sowing good seeds of wildflowers and native plants, and we're not bringing back the plants we do want to see there. And I know it's going to be a long-term practice, but I'd like the city to look into that on how can we set up the best management practices. I'm very glad that the city is looking at that, and those are really the way to go. But then also go beyond and start restoring these areas so we don't have just the seas of the invasive plants. So
absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Would you be willing to donate your time to some public works staff.
Absolutely.
I think your knowledge is invaluable.
Absolutely.
We certainly could use it.
Yeah, I'd be